I'm not starting today with happy news, but it's a reality that we have to face, and willful blindness doesn't change the facts. My thoughts are with the families and victims of the overwhelming tragedy in Nice. This is the 7th terror attack in France in the last 18 months. Some 240 dead, and we're counting. Sadly, our governments keep on treating terrorist attacks, even if they mention the word terrorist. Laughably, the CBC went so far as to say that the victims in Nice were killed by a truck, not an ISIL sympathizer. Of course, the establishment's always careful not to say the word ISIL or Al-Qaeda. But the worry is that they treat these things as one-off events, like this is it, instead of acknowledging they're part of a major trend. But as I say, my sympathies with the families and the victims. And speaking of major trends, I have to tell you why I keep going on about the establishment and the protection of the status quo power groups. You don't get that one, you're not going to get anything about what's happening politically, socially, but especially economically. The reason's straightforward: the declining confidence in the political establishment, and it might be out of China, and their money moves into the Vancouver real estate market. It could be out of Ukraine. Their money moved into London. It doesn't matter where. But the declining confidence in the political establishment, and I'm including politicians, organized labor, crony capitalists, the media commentariat, that's going to be the main driver of capital around the world. And hence, currency prices, bonds, stocks, precious metals. You don't understand that one, you're going to be left behind and confused. I mean, your political sympathies don't make a whit of difference, although some people I know take them very seriously. They cling to them like a psychological safety net. Well, fair enough, but bad news, they don't matter. See, I feel the need to talk and continue talking about this because I'm virtually alone in the mainstream media questioning the status quo in the political establishment. I mean, gosh, look at that federal election campaign. Not one question on anything that would challenge the system. No questions on how the government's going to handle the impact of an aging population on health care. No questions about unfunded liabilities for the public sector pensions. Why? Because the answers would expose the need for change. Now, given my goal here is to protect you financially from the inevitable changes coming from things like the entitlement crisis, the sovereign debt crisis in emerging markets in Europe, the European banking crisis right now, U.S. debt and unfunded liability problems that have already put Rhode Island, Detroit, Stockton, Atlantic City, Puerto Rico into bankruptcy. They're going to claim Chicago and Illinois soon. Well, I'm proud of the fact that I've been talking about the impact of the decline in confidence in government, the fallout from government's failure to adapt to the intense changes gripping the world on the economy and investments for years. On Money Talks, we warned about deflation. We warned about the dramatic price decline in oil, rest of the commodity sector. We told you to protect yourself by buying U.S. dollars when the loonie was still above par. We warned that in October 2007, there was a credit tsunami coming, and said, get back into stocks, high-quality, dividend-paying stocks in March 2009. And by the way, I still continue to think that the interest rate scenario is one of flat to down. Why? Because there is no economic growth going on that would warrant moving those rates higher. We said that a major bull market in stocks is going to be propelled by money coming out of Europe well in advance. Presto, what have we seen this past couple of weeks? New highs in U.S. stocks being propelled by European money. But the ultimate move, by the way, is going to come when confidence in the U.S. government bonds erodes to the point that the bond markets no longer seem to be safe. Arguably, that again is the ultimate reflection in the decline in confidence in government. I know it's tough for members of the status quo to understand, maybe tough for you to understand. For them, everything is a surprise, right? The Brexit vote's a surprise. The rise of Donald Trump was a surprise. The Five-Star Movement's victory in Rome was a surprise. Syriza in Greece, the Freedom Party in Austria, all of them questioning the political establishment, and all of it a surprise to our elites. One of the great cons of all time is the pretense that the political establishment acts in your best interest. Well, the persistent inefficiency, waste, two-tiered wage and benefit systems between the public and private sector, at times corruption, it all reminds us it's not in your best interest. Come on, think about it. The lack of spending rules in the Senate that allowed Mike Duffy to lie on his expenses without penalty. We got billion-dollar handouts to politically connected businesses like Bombardier. The repeal of the First Nations Financial Transparency Act. The fact that organized labor pays absolutely no tax on multi-billion-dollar investments, or that the American auto sector has received tens of billions of tax dollars, or the sweetheart deal on politicians' pensions. None of that is in your best interest. Of course, the political establishment tells you it is, and it's impressive how successful they are in convincing so many people that the world's going to come to an end if you change something like the healthcare system, that's semi-monopoly, or the educational model, you name it. Status quo power groups play on our fears. They tell us the sky is going to fall if really any fundamental change takes place. But in the end, history makes clear. Education, healthcare, pensions, the scope of government, the nature of economic growth, it's all changing. The question for you is, are you going to be proactive about it? Or are you going to survive with that? Or are you going to be reactive and ultimately be financial roadkill?